Hello and welcome to this new Techzine Perspective. This week we're going to talk about ServiceNow and about its Knowledge 25 event with Koen. You just went there, right? You just got back from it today, I think.
Yeah, I just got home.
Yeah.
I was at Knowledge in Vegas, huh? The place where we come too often to visit conferences. And this week it was Knowledge, where we talked about all the latest and greatest, mostly AI innovations they were doing. But they also did a lot of other announcements, and a couple of them I really zoomed into. They had a new market proposition for the CRM, because they used to call it CX or something, or CS, I don't know, customer service things. And now they say we're going after the CRM market.
Oh, so they're going to compete with Salesforce.
That was my opinion as well. I wrote a nice analysis on that, and recorded a video with one of their board members, Amit Zavery. I asked him, like, okay, so you're in the enterprise space, because ServiceNow mostly goes after enterprise organizations. You want to be at CRM. If we look at CRM and the enterprise space, there's only one vendor, that's Salesforce, and the rest is too small to even mention. So you're competing with Salesforce. But someone at ServiceNow thought it was a great idea to decide and send a memo out. We're not going to say we're competing with Salesforce. So we had a 20-minute conversation in which he said a lot of things about CRM vendors and CRM legacy and CRM. He called it a solution that's being connected by chewing gum. But he didn't say they were competing with Salesforce.
It's implied, right? Because if your strategy is to become bigger in CRM and have more focus on CRM, then it also means that you're going after your competitors in the CRM market. And the biggest one by far, I think, is Salesforce, but you also have Dynamics, I think,
but it's Salesforce. Then there's a whole lot of nobody, and then there's a small bit of Microsoft, a small bit of Oracle, a small bit of
Freshworks, HubSpot, and all that stuff.
It's all not. No, it's not. Yeah. So they're going after Salesforce market share without saying they're going after Salesforce. And it was a nice conversation. It was pretty heated. You can watch it on Techzine.eu. It was a fun conversation. I really enjoyed it because, like I wrote in the article, when two giant tech vendors go after each other's market share, our job to write about it becomes a lot more interesting.
Yeah, what's your opinion on what you've learned, based on what you learned this week? Or will they be successful, or maybe what you've learned about ServiceNow in general?
I think ServiceNow can compete with Salesforce on the service front. Some customers will choose ServiceNow, some customers will choose Salesforce. They have a customer service solution, they have a field service management solution. That's fine. ServiceNow doesn't do any marketing, so on the marketing front they will never win. And then there's of course the sales side. They just bought a CPQ vendor that they are going to integrate within the platform.
A what vendor?
CPQ, configure, price, quote. That means you can make quotations, and usually a small part of invoicing is involved as well. But you can make deals a little bit faster, and your salespeople can work more efficiently, etc., etc. So they want to move into the sales side, but then they are not there yet because they just bought the company and they still have to integrate it. They're working on that, but the vision is that you kind of replace all those people with AI agents, because that's of course the next big announcement. They came up with the ServiceNow AI Agent Control Tower.
Yeah, but that was a couple of months ago already, right?
Yeah, they presented it and now it's becoming available, but now they gave a bit more information about it, how it's going to work, because in the AI Control Tower, you don't only manage agents, you can also manage LLMs and even workflow. It's a control tower for all your processes that work around AI, basically. And it's a piece of security, it's a piece of compliance and governance. It's about what's working, what's not working, are they generating errors, etc., etc. So I really did a deep dive on the AI Agent Control Tower with Pat Casey. He's one of the technical. He's also a co-founder of ServiceNow. Sorry. And we really talked about where the product is at this moment and where they see it going, because it's a fairly unique product at this moment, because they're the only ones who say we will bring in the AI agents of different platforms and offer a sort of observability on top of that, so you can manage your complete AI estate. Because what we've seen in the past, there's a nice overlap, I think, with API integrations in the past. Everybody was connecting applications to each other, but in the end you needed an overview and you needed to manage all those connections, and some vendors jumped on that, and this is kind of the same, only with AI. Because if uh, if you have a really large organization with multiple teams, the number of AI agents will be double or triple digits. And managing all those agents is going to be really, really hard. And keeping an overview, and they're going to be replaced very, very fast as well, because that's what we're seeing. The AI innovation is going so fast that an AI agent that's being built this month can be replaced in 3 months, because there's a better version or another LLM that has different requirements. So they just replaced the whole thing. And keeping an overview of what's going on, that's really important.
Okay. And you say they're the only one who do this?
At this moment, as I did some research, I can't find any other vendors that currently have something like it. It's probably a matter of time, because I can imagine that more vendors will want to offer, especially in the security industry. I think that it can be a nice opportunity to offer a similar product.
Yeah, but I think it makes a lot of sense for ServiceNow to do it, right? Because they are so deep into the estate of their customers anyway, right? It's one of the...
They are good in connecting platforms together. They're good in creating workflows. They're good at bringing that together in their platform. So yeah, connecting those API or AI.
It's a logical extension of what they've set out to do, right? Because I think I covered ServiceNow before you did it. I mean, 5-6 years ago, and then it was they compared themselves with the glue that holds everything in an IT environment together, right? But that was back then, so it evolved over time, obviously. But that still rings true now. And in that sense, it makes perfect sense to also focus on taking this role, I think.
Yeah, and they have a giant list of partners who they already integrate with. So Google, Microsoft, Atlassian, I believe. All those agents can be monitored with the control tower. The how extensive you can see activity of those agents, that's a bit different, because if you have an AI agent on the ServiceNow platform, you can see almost everything. But they are talking with like Google and Microsoft about sharing more log information about how an agent is executed, etc. Because that's something new, and there isn't that you do have the agent-to-agent protocol and the MCP, etc. That they're all supporting that, but those protocols haven't been designed to share this kind of information. So.
And what about taking action? For example, being able to change something in an environment of somebody else. If you're the control tower, you also need to be able to say, "Look, I see you're doing something there that I don't agree with. I'm gonna cut you off now, or I'm gonna change your configuration." But that needs a whole lot different level of integration, right?
Yeah, but I asked Pat Casey about this, and he said the question is if the customer is allowed to see it and manage it. So if they put a lot of APIs behind it and they can manage it, or their developers can manage it, because developers like to build things with code and not within an interface usually. So if they have a lot of APIs to stop or edit or adjust or get log information through an API, we can support that and we can use it. But it depends on the platform that's running the agent if those actions are available. But if
that's always the tricky part, right? Yeah, that's all. I mean, conceptually, this sounds very nice, but in practice, there are a lot of hurdles to overcome to actually get there. But that's the same in all the environments where people say we want to. I mean, in security, it's the same. It's the same thing. Yeah. I remember a couple of weeks ago when we did the perspective on RSA conference about the ServiceNow and Cisco integration. That So part of that is fundamentally for the product teams of both companies to actually work closer together to understand better what they do, right? So that's what you need across the board for an AI control tower vision to actually work fundamentally in the way it's supposed
to be. But Casey did tell me they're also looking at using AI to check on all those details. So they're using AI to validate if an AI agent is compliant or within governance, etc. If a company decides we only want to use Anthropic and we don't want to use any models of OpenAI, they can put an agent on that, and every agent that comes along on the platform, another AI will check in and say, oh, this is using OpenAI, this should be killed. And also, because he also talked a bit about security, the most basic thing is prompt injection, I guess, that you inject something into a prompt to get a different outcome that's malicious or does something you don't want it to do. That's something also looking at putting that more in the platform and using AI for that. So those agents will be checked if the input that's going in is not malicious as well. So, and at this moment with the AI control tower, you can see if agents are running, if they're executed well, if there were errors on the output, if it's running on the Now platform, you can see a bit more. But a lot of features we talked about in that video I recorded with him are a bit future looking. So it's a product that's under active development. So we can expect a lot of announcements around the AI control tower in the upcoming months as well. Because they're also still talking to the Googles and the Microsofts of this world, like how are we going to do this? And I even talked about, are you going to create a protocol for this, like a sort of a AI hypervisor protocol to share details? He said, that's something we could do, but it's not preferable. It would be nice. He even said it would be nice if we could open source that as well. But it also depends on if vendors want to work with that, because Google came up with the agent-to-agent protocol, and it's really nice. They open sourced it. But the question still remained, are others going to support it? And I saw this morning that Microsoft has announced that they will support the agent-to-agent protocol.
Well, it was a couple of days ago, but it's fine.
Oh, okay.
We actually wrote about it as well 2 or 3 days ago, but it's fine.
Yeah.
But no, but if it makes sense, they will probably support it. But this is the problem with these kind of.
And it's cutting edge technology.
And you need a lot of other companies to also see it and to also put in the work to actually and not create competing products and standards and all that stuff. And that's always hard. I mean, at the end of the day, if the market wants it and the market has a demand for it, then somebody should build it.
Yeah. And then there were a couple more announcements and conversations I had that are worth talking about in this perspective, and that's the ServiceNow Core Business Suite. I'm going to keep that short, but it's kind of a starting package with ServiceNow for mid-market organizations. So ServiceNow has decided after all those years that the enterprise organizations are really nice, but they want a bigger piece of the pie, and they're going to try to get more foot on the ground in a bit smaller organizations. But I came to my favorite topic. I have discussed with many ERP vendors in the past.
Oh dear!
What's your definition of mid-market? That's always a fun conversation. Between 500 and he said between 1,000 and 5,000 employees. I said in Europe you're pretty You're done quite fast in Europe, because 1,000 employees is a lot. So I expect personally that the European sales organization of ServiceNow will lower that number to 500 or maybe even 250, because starting at 1,000 is just really, really hard. What it basically is it's a default package in which they bundle a lot of their solutions on the platform that can be really easily adopted and installed and configured. So they say it takes a couple weeks to implement this new product. And they used an AI widget for it that's going to ask all kinds of questions to the IT
couple of
team.
Weeks?
Yeah, a couple of weeks to implement ServiceNow. That's
I don't know how long it usually takes, but I think from
at least 6 months.
from a mid-market and even smaller, from a 100-seat company perspective, I think several weeks to implement a single tool, I think still sounds a bit like stretching.
Yeah, but you do get almost the full platform that you can, and
well,
you get
so
all the
they
AI
first need
features
to,
as well.
yeah. So then they first need to really see the value of it in order to actually be able to go ahead with it.
And but before I go to ServiceNow research, because that's a small part I want to talk about as well. What I think in general, if you take a step back and look at what ServiceNow is doing with the CRM, with the core business suite, with the AI control tower, they're making it more easy to understand what ServiceNow is doing exactly, because that's been a problem over the last years, that a lot of enterprises use ServiceNow but it takes time to understand what the platform exactly is and what it can do. And I wrote a piece 7-8 years ago about nobody knows what ServiceNow is doing, but it's still a bit of a hard topic to explain what a company like ServiceNow is doing.
Isn't that always the case when you talk about platform? I think Salesforce has an issue as well.
Salesforce is a platform as well, but you can say, oh, they do CRM and they do service and they do marketing.
Well, if you're very deep into it like you are, yes. But most people would say Salesforce is CRM, ServiceNow is ITSM, and the Workday is HR.
IBM is mainframe,
but
Oracle's database.
No, but as soon as you get into the platform discussion, you need to move away from the thing that made you a success, made you huge and big, and talk a different language. It's always hard. I've never seen a company do it very, very successfully. But
I think the proposition is being more clear now because they're focusing on specific topics and products, and I think it will help ServiceNow get more business because there are more starting points now to start with ServiceNow. Because I think if you look back years ago, I think 90% of their new business came from current ITSM customers that kind of scaled up into different HR or whatever. And now they have the CRM proposition. They're really big on the AI agents. They're doing the core business suite. So there are different starting points to get new customers in and do new business. I think that's good for the company.
Oh yeah, sure it is, but it makes perfect sense. It's just it's very hard to change the perspective, and that's why we record perspectives ourselves. Sorry, it's very hard to change the perspective of how people see companies. It's always been that way.
And to finalize this perspective,
one more point. We're already 20 minutes in. You need to stop now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it was. I did a lot this week, son. I worked hard. You should try that.
Oh, well, maybe I will next week. I don't know.
No, but I got a last-minute interview with a guy from the research department of ServiceNow. He researches all the AI stuff. And we talked about how all those products came along and the LLMs they created. They now created their own reasoning model in cooperation with NVIDIA, which is a really small model, he told me. But it is one of the best out there. Now, if that's the case, we'll see. But that was kind of interesting. But then we switched the conversation a bit to what's coming next, because a lot of organizations hope that the pace of innovation will slow down a bit. He told me that's never going to happen. This is the slowest day in IT. That's definitely the case because things never slow down. Don't wait for it because that's never going to happen. But I also asked him, like, what's after these AI agents? Because we started with generative AI, with generating text and audio, and then we got the AI agents. I said, what is coming next? And he said, a lot of companies, including ServiceNow, are working on your own dedicated assistant that will always be there and will work for you 24/7. If you sit behind your computer in the next morning, it will give you some way of everything that happened during the night, for example, what's interesting for you. And it will help you with setting up calendar meetings to whatever. But now we are still in the focus of, okay, we're getting a button in Gmail or in Outlook to use an AI agent to schedule something. but it will be more naturally. It will be a dedicated
Okay.
agent that's always there and not so much into the software. So I think that's
This is not. This is not a new vision, right? I mean, a lot of companies have been saying this, that you would get your
I
own
thought he was
agent.
talking about a vision, but he said, we're also running demos in this already. So this is going to be here really, really fast. So
Well, it makes sense that it's going to be here now, but I mean, people have been talking about it for a long time already. But it's interesting to see. It would be interesting to see how these things actually work and if they're any good when they come out.
Yeah, but it also means that probably Anthropic and OpenAI and Microsoft and Google are also working on this. So we're going to see like your next generation personal AI agents coming up somewhere, maybe later this year or the end of the year. We're going to see new innovation cycles on this as well.
Yeah. Well, let's see what happens.
Okay. So that's kind of in a nutshell.
Okay.
What ServiceNow did this week.
I'm still very glad that you went and I didn't have to go. So it's not really my cup of tea, but it's. I can see I can see you like it very much. So you keep doing the good work.
I had a lot of good conversations, and when I have good conversations, I'm happy because then we can tell our readers and viewers, and listeners, whatever we got, how companies are evolving and what new technology is important
and you've done this, and you've done it. You've done that today, so thank you.
Okay.
I think that's it.
Thank you for watching this Techzine Perspective, and we'll see you at the next one. It's probably going to be next week. Huh?